Remington, you ever heard of them? That's because they're one of the oldest firearms manufacturers, not only in the country, but in the world. Big player in the gun industry. However, in July 28th in the year 2020, they actually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, how did they go from nothing to a giant company all the way back down to bankruptcy? We'll find out in Supersonic history. The company was founded by a guy named Infield Remington. Jeez, that's a weird freaking name. Anyways, the year is 1816. He's 23 years old, just like I am, and he actually created a flintlock rifle that he thought was pretty good. Took it to a competition. Everyone was like, man, that is a dope rifle. We want one for our own, and he got a ton of orders for people to actually get flintlock rifles exclusively from him, and now he's a smithy. He has a lot of fun being a gunsmith all the way till the year of 1828 when he actually created his first plant in Ilion, New York, a plant still being used to this day. Now, let's fast forward 60 years all the way until you now have the company E. Remington and Sons. The company at this point is now being operated by his family members, and they sold the company to Marcellus Hartley and Partners. Now, this buyout was actually really interesting because the company that actually bought E. Remington and Sons actually owned two major companies, United Metallic Cartridge and Winchester Arms. Now, this is where we're going to start seeing a little bit more familiar things to us as modern shooters, because at this point, Remington and UMC got combined into Remington UMC, an ammunition company that is still producing ammunition to this day. Just 8 years later, UMC actually buys out Winchester's part in Remington, so that way they are completely separate entities. And let the rivalry begin between those two companies. Now, at this point, the Great War has started, and Remington is actually producing rifles for the Allied powers. However, their big break was when they contracted with the United States military to produce the M1917 Infield rifle, a more simplified version of the British pattern 1914 rifle. Now, spoiler alert, the Allied powers won, and Remington actually overproduced a lot of rifles, but the US Army actually bought all of those out to make sure that Remington didn't go. Now, at this point, Remington's looking for more of a dependable kind of market to be able to sell their guns to other than war. And so they're really focusing more on hunting rifles and shotguns. Now, at this point, the Great Depression happens, and they actually have to get bought out by a company named DuPont, who makes a lot of gunpowder. And then World War II hits, of which they started making a lot of ammunition, and 1903 Springfields. Now, after World War II ends, Remington's looking over and seeing that Winchester's doing really well in the hunting market. So they go to the R&D department and say, we got to focus on something that'll actually, really take over a market. We want to focus on something that has a lot of self-defense, a common man can actually purchase, and is great for hunting. Let's focus on shotguns. So Remington's R&D department looks around and goes, all right, what can we do here? We need a good gun designer to really help us. Now, you might have heard this guy. He's kind of a little known guy, John Douglas Peterson. Now, to all the non-gun historians, John Peterson is one of the most prolific gun designers in the entire world. In fact, John Moses Browning himself called him the greatest firearms designer in the world. So John Peterson goes looking around, kind of designing, playing with the little thing, and boom! Remington Model 10. Now, this was a very well-received shotgun within the hunting community. It was a little bit fragile, so John Moses Browning sprinted a little something on there and created the Model 17. And that model was the chassis for the Remington Model 31, which is a very well and popular gun. But old Winchester over here was still kicking their rear ends with the Winchester Model 12, making it way more popular than the Model 31 ever was. And to achieve this, Remington just tweaked and turned the Model 31 into finally the Model 870. They made this beautiful piece of art in the year of 1950. It was more modern, it was more affordable, it was more reliable. This gun dominated the market for like 11 years because in 1961, Mossberg made the Model 500. Long term, the Mossberg 500 dominated. It is actually known to be the most popular hunting weapon of all time. However, that does not discredit Remington's amazing Model 870. By the year of 2009, they sold their 10 millionth shotgun. So it was a huge success and a very great asset to the company and to hunters, home defenders, police departments all around the world. Now, that didn't mean that Remington's executives weren't pissed, because they were. They looked at Mossberg and they said, all right, fine. All right, what are we gonna do? Let's outclass them in something completely different. They wanted to focus more on a hunting rifle. So in 1962, a year right after the 500, Remington produces the best, baddest, most accurate out-of-the-box rifle you'll ever see. Ladies and gentlemen, the Model 700! oh boy, did this thing sell like hotcakes. I'm telling you, hunters love this gun and police departments too. You can see all sorts of variants of this thing. For example, the police departments love the BDL and the PSS. They also sold to the United States Army under the designation of M24 and M40 because this thing was a freaking tech driver. Anyways, back to business. The year is 1993 and they are sold to Clayton, Dublier, and Rice for the good old sum of $300 million. To say that Remington has made a name for itself is a bit of an understatement. Their hunting supplying market was strong, and in the year of 1992, it's reported that they actually sold $900 million worth of guns. Hunting sales were their thing. Their Remington 700 was a huge success, and they were the household name. But in 1986, it's been reported that hunting started massively declining around this time. People were using guns more for concealed carry than they were for hunting now. People were craving for concealed carry pistols, but Remington just was not delivering in that department. And since then, sales just kept declining until 2007, where Cerebus Capital Management actually bought them out for $370 million. And they assumed $252 million of debt. Now, this entire management group was later renamed to Freedom Group because it contained DPMS, Bushmaster, and Marlin, a lot of different gun companies. Freedom Group also added Advanced Armament Corporation to the list, which is famous for making the 300 Blackout cartridge, along with Honey Badger and a few legendary suppressors. After a 12-year absence from the pistol market, Remington finally added the 1911 R1. Their 1911, along with many other pistols that they created, were not well received. They had very bad reliability issues, as well as Remington never made a name for themselves. Now, one thing that really helped Remington was a $16 million contract with the US Army building M4 carbines, so that was helpful. However, things had not gotten much better for Remington because in 2017, it was revealed that Remington had acquired $950 million in debt. That's a lot of dough! And that's why in May of 2018, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Later in May, they actually created a plan to their creditors, which 97% of them actually approved of, to restructure the company so hopefully they could pay back their debts. And July 28th, 2020, they filed for bankruptcy again, after which a lot of their assets were divided and sold. Now, what's in store for Remington? I don't know. Now, what can we learn from Remington? Listen to the market. There's a lot of gun manufacturers out there that listen to what's out there, and a lot of gun manufacturers provide a lot of guns for many different applications. Remington needed to learn that people are faithful to brands as long as they keep producing quality products for what they need. But if you miss those opportunities, you're gonna pay for it. $950 million worth of paying for it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching Supersonic History. I'm Adam Cantrell from Next Gen Arms, and I'll see you in the next video.